and you give me. And pay attention. She has a lot of really good stuff to share with you.
All right. Hey guys. Afternoon. As Ms. Watson just said, my name is, you can call me Miss Altschul, but a lot of you might know me as Becca. I used to go here, so some of you might know me from that. Some of you might know your siblings, things like that. All right, as a class, you get to decide trick or treat.
Trick or treat.
Trick or treat. Awesome. Good choice. So if you answer a question or ask a question, you get candy. So that's a good incentive to begin our presentation. And that if you chose trick, and that meant that I would be telling jokes after every time you chose you answered a question. So I'm glad you chose treat. So good choice. I don't tell very good jokes. A couple of ground rules before we begin. I just wanted to make this known. So we're talking about something pretty serious. We're going to have some fun today, but we're talking about something that's pretty serious and pretty heavy. So your students, your other fellow classmates, and other students in your grade or in your school might be suffering from these kind of issues. So please, we're going to use the Vegas law in here. What's the Vegas rule? What happens in Vegas stays in Vegas? Yeah? So what happens in this room stays in this room. Okay? Awesome. All right. Like I said, please feel free to ask questions, and we're going to get going. So the goal of today is to educate high school students, you guys, about how the transition from high school to college impacts students and can trigger symptoms of anxiety and depression, and learn strategies and skills to manage them. One thing I forgot to mention is why I'm here. I didn't even tell you why. So I am currently a senior at Capstone University. I'm going to be graduating in less than 2 months, closer to a month and a half. I'm very excited, with a degree in Family Human Services. To graduate, we have a bunch of requirements. One of our main requirements was we had to create a capstone project, which is, do you remember in 8th grade we had to do rep? Yeah? Think of rep, but condensed down to 6 weeks. And you had to get everything done in a manner of 5 to 6 weeks. So I presented it in my classroom on Monday, and then today I'm here in my community to present it again. So, pretty exciting. All right, so by the end of this workshop, participants, you guys, will be able to define 4 key components of mental health, classify 5 different coping strategies regarding the different levels of anxiety and depression, identify 2 resources that they can utilize on your own when you are no longer in high school, and create individual plans that will benefit you personally and now and in the future. So who am I? Why am I here talking to you? Well, I am a graduate of University of Cedar Grove High School. I graduated in 2014. There I am. I look exactly the same. I'm wearing my hair the exact same way as I did then. I was president of the All-School Council my senior year, secretary my junior year. I was a very active member of the Cedar Grove High School concert choirs and select choirs. There I am. I like to be the center of attention, as you can see. I was section leader for 3 years, and I was involved in a lot of different productions. Brings me here. Yes, I was involved in all of my productions all throughout my high school years. I think there was one production that I wasn't involved in, and it was with the drama class, not the drama club, so I don't count it. My 3 mentors that I speak to on a frequent basis, Ms. Jess, Mr. Canella, and Ms. Misha, they're the people that kind of got me through high school, and they're the people that are still helping me now. And of course, if you don't believe me, I spoke at graduation, so here I am, Cedar Grove High School. So who am I now, right? Well, now, I said I go to Towson University. For the last 2.5 years, I've been working for the Towson University Career Center, so I'm a CPA, a career peer advisor, which means that I work with resumes, cover letters, internships, LinkedIn's, anything that has to do with obtaining a job. I was also a team leader for the Towson University admissions. I went from being a tour guide or an ambassador to becoming a team leader, so there I am again. And currently, I am an intern at the Towson University Counseling Center, where I work with the ATOD, or Alcohol, Tobacco, and Other Drugs Department. So if students are caught with something they shouldn't be having on campus, they come and talk to me. I was president for 2 years of a club called Actors Anonymous. I'm very theatrical. I love the arts and love theater. I directed 3 shows with them, including a show that I wrote myself, the Rocky Horror Show, and Spring Awakening. And then last fall, I had the opportunity to be in a main stage show at Towson, so that's like their official shows. And I was the mom in a play called Metamorphosis. It is a weird show. It looks like I'm in Fiddler on the Roof, and I'm not. And of course, I seem like I'm pretty happy, right? Pretty well adjusted, enjoying life. Tough crowd, y'all. Yeah? Yeah? Okay. And I am, and I love school, and I'm happy where I am, but I also do suffer from severe anxiety. So, we'll talk about that, which leads me into my next point. What describes a positive mental health, and what are some words that describe a negative mental health? So I'm going to make a Venn diagram, and we're going to add these words into it. So, just shout them out. What are some words that describe a positive mental health? None. Happy. Thank you. What else? When you're feeling good, what are you normally feeling? You're feeling confident. I love that. What else? Calm. Good. I heard some way. What did I hear? Nothing? Calm. Anything else? How about excited? Yeah. What'd you say?
I said I was going.
Do you have when you have a positive mental health, are you feeling low energy or high energy? High energy. Energetic, excited. All right. So let's flip it around. What about when you have a negative mental health? Depressed. Good word. What was the other word? Tired. Sad. Yep. Pessimistic. I like that one. Anything else? Stress. Definitely. It's a big one for me. Okay. So what about the in-between? What are some things that might be when you're kind of, you're not feeling like a super positive mental health, but not a super negative mental health either? Some things you might do, maybe? Cry? Sleeping? Yeah, that's pretty good. Sorry? Eating, yeah. Some people eat, some people don't eat. One in my class that I did this in, someone said go to therapy for negative mental health. I think that could kind of go both ways. Even if you're feeling good, still going to therapy helps. So you get it. You get what I'm trying to say. But what if I'm having a really awesome day? I'm super happy. I'm super confident. Loving life. Could I still be facing some anxiety?
Yeah.
Yeah. What if I'm, feeling sad today? Something bad happened. I didn't do well on a test. Could I still be having a positive mental health? Yeah. So it doesn't really look like just one thing. That's why it's a little bit of a gray area and sometimes very confusing. Thank you for participating. All right. So why is this important? Why am I even here? In a 2011 study conducted by Lauren Sieben at the University of California, or UCLA, only 51.9% of the incoming freshmen of that year felt that their mental health was above their peers. That's just slightly over half. That's about a 50-50 split, meaning they felt more stable and suffered less from anxiety. A negative mental health comes from high levels of stress, anxiety, and the overwhelming desire to overachieve. People in the young adult stages of their life, ages 18 to 24, are at higher risk to suffer from mental illness. Now we think about that as we continue on. So, it also falls under the Americans with Disabilities Act. So, the Americans with Disabilities Act, it disallows universities and other public institutions to discriminate against any student who may be suffering from a mental illness to obtain an education. So let's say you do have a declining mental health, something is going on, and you do need to pull out of school for a little while, they have to allow you to come back without any kind of repercussion. Also, please stop me if I start talking too fast, or if you have any questions. So my thesis, because I did have to do research on this, was a student's mental health is constantly changing. This is annoying me. Constantly changing due to the consistent changes within their lifetime. One of the major changes being the transition between high school and college. Freshmen are most likely to see the beginning stages of a declining mental health, such as higher levels of depression and anxiety, due to the major impact of the change and the shifting relational factors within their life. So you're making a big change. Everything is changing. Everything is different. Everything is new. It makes it difficult to try to keep a positive mental health sometimes. So, the number of students suffering from mental health problems are at a record all-time high. This is most likely due to the high pressures that millennials and Generation Z students feel every day regarding schoolwork and the rapidly changing world that has become the new normal. Out of these mental health problems, anxiety and depression are the top two mental illnesses that students face on a daily basis. Anxiety and depression are the most prevalent concerns among college students seeking mental health treatment on campus today. That is from an article, a Time magazine article that you guys will be working with very soon called Depression on Campus. It was from April 2018. Between the years 2009 and 2010, students reporting a good or above average mental health went from a 55.3% to 51.9%, a record 3.4% drop within 1 year. And that number is consistently declining. What do you think about that? Anyone have any thoughts on that? Yeah. It's sad, yeah. Another thing is when I'm asking these questions, I'm actually asking. You guys are about to, you're seniors, all of you? You're either about to go to college or about to do whatever it is you're going to do. You're graduating soon. I'm not trying to talk to you like you're freshmen in high school anymore, you know? I want to know your opinion. I want to hear. Your opinion does matter, and your opinion will matter as you continue on. All right, so let's talk about anxiety. Getting right into it. Anxiety affects students in many ways, whether it be physical, social, emotional, and it can impact performance in school. So anxiety is a complex of emotions and cognitions. It is more concerned with the future and is not related to a particular event or thing. So anxiety is about what's going to happen, whereas depression is about what's already happened. You can't be anxious or anticipatory about something that's already happened. It's already happened. But you can feel sad about what's already happened, which is where the depression comes in. The different levels of anxiety include generalized anxiety disorder, or GAD, obsessive compulsive disorder, or OCD, social phobia, or social anxiety, post-traumatic stress disorder, or PTSD, and separation anxiety disorder, or SAD. Today we're going to be focusing specifically on generalized anxiety disorder. While all of these issues can bring up some other anxieties, we're going to be focusing mostly on GAD. Generalized anxiety disorder, or GAD, is characterized by an excessive and inappropriate worrying that is persistent and not restricted to particular circumstances. So it's just anxiety about everything. It's the most common form of anxiety. In a study done by the American College Health Association, which you will hear a lot about today, 61% of freshmen in the 2017 survey reported overwhelming anxiety that caused them to struggle more within their first year of college. So that's over half of the students that took this survey. Over half of the freshmen said they felt overwhelming anxiety within their first year of college. It is estimated that 20% of youth between the ages of 12 and 18 have a mood, anxiety, or substance use disorder. What were you doing at 12? What grade were you in? 6, 7, yeah. It feels like a long time ago, right? It feels like a long time ago for me, personally. I'm almost 10 years away from that. It's a long time. That's a big age gap, 12 to 18. So the fact that there's 20% of those, it's a pretty big number. So what else? Anxiety can also be affected in increase in sleep-related issues. So students who suffer from higher levels of anxiety reported an increase in sleep-related issues such as insomnia or night terrors. Those students reported lower performance within their classes. Phone addiction can be a direct correlation to anxiety as well, with students feeling fearful to disconnect, creating more challenges with making face-to-face connections. So I talked about this with the other class too. I'm not shaming you for being attached to your phone because I'm guilty of it. I am super attached to my phone. I love to be on all the time. I'm constantly talking to people. And while it has some benefits, as my best friend goes to the University of Connecticut and I go to Towson, that is a 6-hour distance away from each other. So it's good because we can connect through that. But it also makes us glued to our screens, which is very difficult because then it makes the anxiety of wanting to speak to someone face-to-face a lot harder. Picture it, you're in an elevator, both of you are on your phone, you're not looking, you never met the person, maybe they live on your floor in your residence hall, and you look around and you haven't said a word to each other. Why is that? You're looking at your phone the whole time. These feelings can also lead to isolation and loneliness and a lesser chance a student will attempt to make an in-person connection. Loneliness creates anxious thoughts through the desire to reach out to another person. The overuse of a phone can also lead to feelings of anxiety and a loss of control. Does anyone have any questions about anything we talked about so far? No, I'm not trying to scare you. I'm just teaching the facts. All right, so let's do a little activity. If you guys can pair up pretty quickly, and then one of your pairings come up and grab this sheet right here. I should have enough. Only need one. Thank you. If we need a group of 3, we can do that too. All right, there you go. Okay, so using these numbers right here, so 61%, 30%, 39%, and 10%. Using that, fill in the respective blank, I guess, to what you think they might be. I had to film myself. Yep, I had to film myself to prove that I did it. And I did it in the first class, and my camera died. So it looks like I'm FaceTime, but I'm not. I do. Hi, Dr. Brenneman. Because she's supposed to come in and see it, but sometimes she can't. I go to school in Baltimore. This was my sophomore year health class, the same size. Yeah. But that was like our whole gym class too. We were just like overflow students. So we were the only class in gym and the only class in health. And it was like 15 of us. Yeah. If the font is too small to read on the little ones, read it up here. It's a little bigger. This is good because we can this. How we doing? Almost there? Getting there? A few more minutes, but minute or two left. All right, so let's take a vote. How many of you said for the first one that it was 61%? One? Did you guys put 61% for that? Okay. How many of you said 30%? One group, okay. How many of you said 39%? And the rest of you said 10? Okay. We'll put 10 here. All right, how many of you said that this was 61%? One group? 30%? 39%? The vast majority? And then 10%? Nobody. All right, 39. How many of you said this was 61%? You caught my trick. That means because I said it beforehand. 61%. And then how many of you said this was 61%? 30%? 39%? 10%? Okay. All right. Let's see how well you guys did. So, you guys get all right? Good job, guys. So, 30% of students visiting the counseling centers increased on average from 2009 to 2015. So think about it on a bill. If it, let's say you're at, how much do you normally tip when you're at a restaurant? 20%, right? So think about it from $100 on a $100 check. That's $30 on a $100 check. That was an increase. Doesn't sound like a big number, but it is a big number. Yeah.
So like 30 people.
Yeah, 30 people out of 100. 30 additional people out of 100 came in. So that's already 100 people there, and then 30 more people came in. Think of it that way. 39% of students said they felt so depressed within the last 12 months that it was difficult for them to function. It's a pretty high number if you think of that too. That's almost 40%, closer to half than not. 61% of students said they felt overwhelming anxiety within the last 12 months, according to the American College Health Association. What do you think of that number? That's over half. Is that high? Is that low? Do you think that people aren't talking? Like, what do we think? I think it's high. It is high. It's a high number. And then 10% of students said they seriously considered suicide within the last 10 months. So 10% of these students said that, which is still a pretty low number. Pretty high, high number. 10% of 39. Anyone have any reactions to that? Anything they want to ask about that? It's alarming, right? So, like, what can we do about it? That's why I'm here. So now we're going to move on to depression. More than half of all college students suffer from depressive episodes or symptoms of clinical depression. For a student to obtain a diagnosis of clinical depression, they must see a licensed psychiatrist or psychologist and be presenting symptoms including, but not limited to, overwhelming sadness, lack of interest in certain activities, severe appetite change, and a difficult, persisting inability to perform everyday activities. Now, as we talked about before, depression and anxiety don't look like one thing. I am not a licensed psychiatrist, not a licensed therapist, but this is definitely something that we're willing to be talked about. It can look like a million different things, but this is what the official protocol is. Depression can affect academic progress, social interactions, as well as physical health, including weight gain and future heart problems. So depression is actually, what the definition is, it means slowing something down. So when you are depressed, you have slowed down brain function, slowed down body function, slowed down metabolism, and slowed down heart function. So, if treated improperly or not treated at all, depressive episodes can turn fatal, as we just saw in the statistics. Up to 25% of 19 to 29-year-olds experience a major depressive episode within their lifetime. It's a pretty high number. Only 10 years span, 25%, that's 1/4 of them. So, in a 2008 survey conducted by the American College Health Association, 1 in 3 college freshmen said they felt so depressed they could not. It was difficult to function. So that's 33%, okay? In a 2017 survey conducted by the same association, 39% of students reported suffering from high levels of depression, while 10% of those students reported having suicidal thoughts. So in 2008, it was 33%, and then all the way up to 2010, it was 39%. That's a 6% increase. That number's rising. College athletes, especially female athletes, have a high risk of suffering from depression within their first year and beyond. So why do we think that? Yeah.
So much stress.
So much stress, yeah. What else? You were going to say stress? Yeah. What else? I'll go into it. Higher levels of stress, very good, and feelings of isolation from the rest of their peers. That's your answer. I told you, if you answer your question, you get a candy.
I want the joke.
There are multiple coping mechanisms. So this is how how we can handle it. Coping mechanisms for dealing with anxiety or depression. Your support system is the first one. If a person is suffering from anxiety disorder or a depressive episode, they have many resources they can turn to. The first thing to do is talk to your support system around you. Your parents, your teachers, your coworkers, your friends, your siblings, your pet. Anything that really gives you love that can help you through anything. So mindfulness. What is mindfulness? What does it mean to be mindful? I heard you talked about it in here. Yeah.
Like being aware
Mm-hmm. Being aware of what's happening around you. So being mindful is not only just around what's happening around you, but what's happening inside of you too. So practice. A lot of people. Does anyone in here practice yoga? No. Well,
We did it in gym one time.
You did it in gym. Did you like it? Yeah, it's okay. Practicing mindfulness inside of you is a lot of the time a big portion of yoga because you have to be very aware of your breathing and very aware of what you're doing inside and how you're feeling. So it's a lot of ways that you can practice mindfulness is coloring, journaling, breathing exercises, and there are apps that help you with mindfulness such as Headspace. There's an app that I use. It specifically is called Mood Path. So when I was 3 times a day, it tracked how I was feeling to kind of indicate by the end, like, okay, you might be feeling like this, you might be having issues like that. And I would answer these questions that really helped and made me more mindful about what I was doing and how I was feeling right now. However, most psychiatrists and psychologists recommend a basic change in diet, a higher exercise remedy, and a plan to aid in the monitoring of anxious and intrusive thoughts. So you can't just do one of these and be like, oh, I'm better. I had an apple today. It's a magic. No. It does help, it does aid it, but you definitely want to continue to use the options that you know you have, such as cognitive behavioral therapy, or CBT, which is a psychosocial intervention that aims to improve mental health. CBT focuses on challenging and changing unhelpful cognitive distortions, so bad thoughts, behaviors, beliefs, improving emotional regulation, and the development of personal coping strategies that target solving problems. So CBT takes it head on. It takes everything that you're doing and tries to adjust it in a way that's going to be beneficial to you. So if you're having negative thoughts or having bad feelings, they can kind of hit it head on. So this is the basic outline for CBT. I just realized you can't really see those titles because of my numbers. I apologize. So your core beliefs and yourself, and then it's the others and the future. So that all makes up, that is what the center of it is. And then the behavior, your feelings, and your thoughts, how that interacts, and then how that interacts with the whole world. So that's what CBT basically tackles. Originally, it was designed to treat depression, but its use has been expanded to include a number of treatment options, including anxiety. Multiple different medications are used to treat some anxieties and antidepressants to combat depressive episodes, but these up the production of serotonin. Do you guys know what serotonin is? What is serotonin? Happiness, yeah. When you are running or when you feel the endorphins, that releases serotonin. When you're around someone you love and someone you care about, that releases serotonin. When you eat your favorite food, that releases serotonin. So sometimes people are voiding serotonin due to a depressive episode because, like I said, it slows down body function, slows down brain function. So in order to do so, they have to take medication. I woke up this morning, I was feeling really sick. I had a really bad cold. This is true. I promise I'm not just using this as like an anecdote. And I took Dayquil. Are any of you judging me for taking Dayquil this morning? No. Why? It made me better, right? So there is a high stigma around medications, making people feel badly about them. The biggest thing is if you have medication, take your medication. That's what's important. It's important to have it. It's the same way as if you had a cold and you took some Dayquil to not have a stuffy nose. Also, your medications are your medications alone. Do not share medications with other people. That is no one else's to have. All right, so after learning, this is when the fire alarm went off, so I'm having some flashbacks there. After learning about the basics of anxiety and depression, why do you think incoming college students are, bad grammar, sorry, the most susceptible to experiencing depressive or anxious episodes? So susceptible means most likely to have it. Yeah.
After answering schedule,
Yeah, go for it.
is it because they're like going through a lot of stress having to like leave their family?
100%. Yeah. No, that. You're good. Anyone else? Change in environment. Yeah. What else? What'd you say? A lot of pressure. Thanks for answering. Anyone else have anything? High pressure, leaving home, leaving behind the friends that you've made, that you got very close to. It's coming out of the comfort zone. Anything else? Living on your own, yeah. You're living on your own for the first time. Ben, have you ever lived on your own? I hope not. I didn't live on my own until pretty recently when I moved into my new apartment. So. All right, so let's talk about the different resources. So all over college campuses, there are counseling and health centers available. But in a recent study, in the 2017 study, the ACHA found that only 24% of those diagnosed with depression were receiving treatment, and only 20% of those with anxiety disorders. So that's crazy because they're saying that 61% of people said that they were suffering from an anxiety disorder, and only 20% of those people were receiving the treatment. Same thing like I said. I had a cold this morning. I took my medicine. Why wouldn't anyone else do that? So there's counseling and health centers all over college campuses, and that provide resources for students such as individual counseling, group counseling, and outside resources to help with the transition from high school to college. So the counseling center on my campus, which I'm an intern for, I'm very excited about, you can have as many free sessions as you want to help with your anxieties or depression if they might have it. They also have 11 group sessions, including an LGBT group session. They have a managing stress session, students that are dealing with grief, and of course there's 2 group sessions for men and women of color, which are great too. They have a wide variety and they're always open. Oh, they have a substance use group as well. Anyone suffering from substance use disorder. Another way you can cope with the anxiety and depression is psychological flexibility, which is complex dynamic psychological structure and refers to the dynamic adaptation process, which appears repeatedly and matches a situation in the process of interaction between individuals and their environment. A lot of words to basically mean changing your outlook on life to become a positive one. That's what psychological flexibility is. It's the ability to change something that's happening to you that's negative and turn it into something positive. Being positive and trying to find a healthy outlook on the situation at hand can help with creating a sense of resiliency. So resiliency is how well a person can bounce back. So let's say I get an F on a test, all right? Should I go home and stay home for 4 days and never come back to school? No, I gotta come back. I gotta go bounce back from it. I get into a fight with my mom. Am I just never gonna talk to her again? No. I mean, sometimes I'm like, Mom, I never want to talk to you again, but I don't mean that. Things like that. It's about bouncing back. Y'all are a tough crowd, aren't you? I know it's the middle block right before the end of the day, and it's Friday. It's a mood lower, I guess, this topic. So once again, an unhealthy way to cope with it is the use of substances. So I work at the ATOD department, alcohol, tobacco, and other drugs, and a lot of students will turn to drugs or alcohol to try not to feel or to feel numb to what they're doing. That is not helpful because when that feeling goes away, those underlying feelings are still there. So I want to make sure you're tackling it head on. And once again, if you're utilizing medication, your medication is your medication alone, no one else's. So, does anyone have any questions or comments on anything? No? Is everything I'm saying making sense? Does it sound like I'm talking gibberish a little bit? No? Okay, good. All right. So why don't students seek the help they need? Yeah. Perfect. They don't want to admit it. Very good. Oh, it's okay. I threw it at someone's head the other day. They're embarrassed, yeah. What's a stigma? What does it mean to have a stigma? A common assumption, and normally a negative common assumption. Very good. A negative common assumption about how you're feeling. So there is a high stigma around mental health because people don't really understand it. There's also a high parental stigma. So there are many reasons why students are not seeking the help on campus, including lack of time, discomfort with disclosing information, and lack of desire to obtain help. You can't get help until you want help. As well as a stigma that surrounds mental health and the shame people who are suffering tend to feel for not being normal. You're not alone in this. Everyone is suffering with something around you. It doesn't mean that you're not normal. It just means that you need to get the help that you need. For those who do look to counseling centers, at the heightened times of the year, typically there are longer lines and extended wait times. However, this should not discourage seeking help, for the only way anyone can get better is by making an effort to do so. So, at times there's a parental stigma. So a lot of times parents don't have the same information that you guys might have, especially with the ever-changing times. Think back to your grandparents, maybe even your great-grandparents that fought in World War II. Coming back with post-traumatic stress disorder, they were told not to say anything. But now we talk about it. Someone who does have PTSD, that is something we talk about a lot. Also, a lot of parents that might be very religious or have a high cultural background will be very focused in saying keeping it within the family. Don't say anything to anyone else. We don't get help outside. It's not true. You'd rather get better than keep it within the family and never get better. So the fear of disappointment and failure, as we talked about, students are pretty ingrained with the fear of failure. Students nowadays face high levels of pressure and they don't want to fail. You put a lot of pressure. I know I put a lot of pressure on myself. I know that if you're thinking about it, I wanted to be the best at everything. That's why I think I was president in all of the shows, everything I had to do at once, and it all just came together. So there's no time. I have practice. I've got homework. I don't have time to go. Well, nowadays they actually have these online therapists you can go to where you just can talk to them over the phone or texting or an email. So you don't have to go anywhere, just on your phone. And a lack of information. So that's why I'm here, to give that information out to you. All right, so let's talk about parental involvement.
This is my mom, Beverly Goldberg, a shoulder-padded, crunchy-haired mother.
Okay, yeah, I want to make sure it worked. Anyway, have any of you guys ever seen The Goldbergs? Yeah? I love this show, personally. I find it very relatable because it's a Jewish family, and they remind me so much of my family. But Beverly Goldberg is what her son Adam likes to call a smother. because the term helicopter parent was not ready yet. So she has 3 children, Adam, Erica, and Barry. And fun fact is that a friend told the class that my friend knows the actual Barry Goldberg. Like, that's like her family friend, and not pretty cool. But Erica is a senior, and this is just how Beverly likes to behave around her children. So we'll see this.
This is my mom, Beverly Goldberg, a shoulder-padded, crunchy-haired mother warrior whose top priority was always her kids. Before helicopter moms and attachment parenting, she was the original smother.
Smugglebug. Circular motions. We've had this discussion. Just give it to me. See? Feel that difference? Make a bunny face.
She was all over us from early in the morning to late at night.
Who wants a sleepover snack? First one to fall asleep gets their bra frozen. Why are you in here?
She even found a way to smother us at school.
Mom, don't mind me. Soccer tryouts are this afternoon. You need that to protect your special spot.
I know what it's for, just leave. But nothing put a bounce in her step more than planning our futures for us.
You get the point. She's a very overprotective parent. All right, so I'm going to ask, so her oldest is named Erica. It's her daughter. How do you think she's going to react when she goes to college for the first time? If you know the show, because it just happened, don't tell anyone, but you make a prediction just from that. Not a single prediction. Yeah. Oh, no. Yeah. Right, she's not going to know what to do. She's always had her mom to do everything for her. How do you think she'll be about decision making? Hard. She won't be able to make a decision. So, what Beverly was a helicopter parent. How a student was raised can play a significant role in how they are affected by the transition or change. While it is important for a parent to be healthily involved in their child's life, if they are overzealously or overactively involved, being deemed what's called a helicopter parent, this can be very detrimental to their child's growth because it is disallowing them from creating a sense of identity. So we're all learning who we are all the time. You don't want anything to stop you from learning who you are. Because of that, parents got to kind of let you fly a little bit. Helicopter parenting interrupts a child's self-growth by putting a protective mechanism on top of their emotional and social development and not allowing the child to feel a sense of autonomy or choice over their own life. So autonomy equals choice. This can then lead to feelings of self-loathing from lack of control and lack of independence, which is a catalyst for depressive and anxious and depressive feelings, especially from feeling like they must be on their own or that they cannot do it due to an over-involved parent. So it's great to have a parent that's involved and you want a parent that's involved, but you don't want someone to be overly actively involved so that you don't miss out. Also, on the flip side, you don't want to have a parent that has a lack of support. So a student who feels they have no support at home can also be declining to one's mental health. Students who feel they cannot go to their parents about their mental health problems are less likely to seek outside help, which only worsens the problem at hand. So make sure you're talking to your parents. If there's something wrong, they're the ones that need to know. But overall, my subject of this is you decide who you want to be. It's your choice and your choice alone. So it sounds very TED Talky, very motivational speaky. But it's true. You get to make the choice. You get to choose where you go to college. You get to choose what you want to study, who your friends are. And that's your decision, and no one should be able to make that choice but you. Sorry. All right. So transitions are the most tumultuous or hardest time in a person's life, and with the move from high school to college being one of the greatest transitions, issues with mental health are more likely to arise with incoming college freshmen. The best way to help them is to find healthier solutions is to educate them about the multitude of options that are on and off campus. The most common mental illnesses on campus are depression and anxiety, normally connected to the high desire to succeed and the feeling of loneliness attached to a new social dynamics. It is also important for families, especially parents, to continue to guide their child. However, they must do this without smothering them, and allowing them to be autonomous and build a higher self-esteem. The more a student feels secure on campus, the less likely they are to suffer from a mental illness. So, anyone have any questions about that? All right, well, if anyone can just take out something to write with, we're going to do a quick activity just to kind of wrap things up. So I'm going to give you out a sheet, and on top it says, I'll do the examples first. So on top it says when I'm having a bad day, and then who, what, when. I'm excited too. Who, what, when, where, why, and how. And these are the questions you're going to be answering. So this is something you can take home. I'm not going to grade this. I'm not going to look at this. This is just for you, okay? So who is someone you can talk to when you're having a bad day? That's my best friend Flannery. She also went here. I'm seeing her today, and I'm so excited. And she is someone I can talk to when I'm having a bad day. That's from New Year's Eve 2 years ago. We're yelling at each other. I don't remember why. What is something I can do when I'm having a bad day? I normally play the piano and sing. Like I said, I'm very big into music, so when I'm playing the piano, when I'm getting all my feelings out there, I tend to feel better. It's when I feel the most mindful. I'm most in the moment when I'm singing. When I feel bad, what is one coping mechanism I can use? I like to journal. I'm someone who enjoys writing my feelings down. I have my computer's with me at all times. As you can see, I'm using it right now. So I have an online journal, and I also have a writing journal in case I don't have my computer with me. Where can I go when I'm having a bad day? So I moved to Baltimore City recently. I moved towards the harbor. If you've ever been to Baltimore, you'll know where that is. It's a very pretty area. It's right by M&T Bank Stadium where the Ravens play. I'm like right around the corner from where the Ravens play. Forgot to mention that last time. And right around the corner from where the Orioles play. So I'm really close to both of those. And this is the big Barnes & Noble that is 4 floors. And I love it. I go there. I just feel better when I'm there. I like to read a lot. It's really beautiful. It's right by the National Harbor, and the Hard Rock Cafe is right next door. So it's a really cool area to go to, and that's where I go when I'm feeling bad. Why might I need some help on a bad day? I'm very prone to stress, like I said. Last fall, if I could tell you my schedule, you'd probably be like, when did you eat and when did you sleep? The answer was never. So don't do that. But because I'm very high prone to stress, that's typically when I have a bad day. And how do I normally feel better on a bad day? I talk to my friends. I breathe, remember to breathe. I write. I remember that tomorrow's a new day. So now you guys are going to try this. You don't have to share it if you don't want to. But you guys are going to create your own. This is for you to keep and for you to look back on as time goes by. I apparently can't get papers out because it's my way. So yeah, and if we want to share after, we can. But if not, that's okay. If you need me to go back to any of the questions, let me know.